Hey guys, do you want to make a meaningful difference in one of my local Nicaraguan friends' lives? My friend Flavio's dream is to do art and be able to do it for a living, and you can help him accomplish this, okay? If you're in the US or in Europe, you can check out the merchandise shelf below and purchase a product there. All of these products are designed by Flavio, and he gets all of the proceeds from these sales. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and if you want to support our work, check out the merchandise, buy a course, do that kind of stuff. Now I'll see you in today's video.
And I was in the Flamingo Hotel with Matt Gambrell on our last day before we went home to Charlotte. I was working on my manual store, and I noticed an email about a case. And this case basically was ruled in the favor of the buyer, and I did what I normally do. And I called in and I let eBay know that they made a mistake on the case, and that the tracking that the buyer provided for the return was not the tracking label that I provided to the buyer for the case. At that point, I went back and forth with the rep a little bit, and it took longer than usual. And they basically just told me that, you know, they would look into it and they would get back to me. So Matt and I got on our flight from Vegas to Salt Lake City, and around 5:30 Eastern Standard Time, PM, I looked at my email when I got off the plane on my manual eBay store, and I noticed a letter. And the email, it stated, "There's evidence on your account that you are purchasing items from an online retail or marketplace site after you sell the item on eBay and having the retailer ship the item directly to the customer. This is a violation of the terms and conditions section of our selling practices policies, which states items you list must be in your inventory or must have an existing agreement with a third party to fulfill the delivery of the item under the terms of your listings. As a result, we've taken the following action on your account: an indefinite selling restriction. The decision is final and appeals will automatically be declined." After I got that letter, I went to my other eBay accounts, my main eBay accounts, and I noticed the same thing. The emails happened while I was on the flight. So I got this one, like I said, at around 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the other ones came 15 to 20 minutes after on my main accounts. So it appears that something on my manual store triggered eBay to look into this and then look into my other stores as well. Immediately when I first found out, I was walking with Matt Gambrell, and I turned to Matt and I'm not sure how most people would react in this situation, but I turned to him and I just got kind of teary-eyed right away, because I was thinking about the fact that I've spent 2 years growing a business that I love to do. And yes, I have Amazon as my more lucrative business currently. But what I love to do is I love to teach people drop shipping on the eBay website, through YouTube and through my mentorship group, and just have, you know, a big part in the eBay dropshipping community. So that was all going through my head. So I immediately turned to Matt, and, you know, Matt was trying to give me words of encouragement, saying, you can come back from this suspension. Like, you know, I've gotten suspended from Amazon all the time, and I've come back from it, and, you know, all this, we can get this account unsuspended, just trying to give me words of encouragement. And at that point, you know, I felt hopeless. And I still did for a couple days after that, basically with the wording that, you know, the decision is final and appeals will automatically be declined. That kind of put me in this state of, you know, hopelessness at the time. So I got on my flight from Salt Lake City to Charlotte, and that was definitely one of the longest flights that I've ever had to endure. Just not being able to really work on anything or do anything to my actual store. or send any emails, appeals, anything like that. It was a long flight for sure. And when I got home, immediately, it was late, but I got on and I just started looking into different things, trying to search stuff. And even Matt, while he was on the plane, was trying to search ways that the suspension could be undone. But basically, by the time I finished that night, I just kind of realized that these accounts are likely never to ever be opened again. And I was going to have to find a different way to sell on eBay if I wanted to continue. Nevertheless, I called the eBay reps for a few days in a row, and I got a few different answers from them. And one of them, the first one, was very interesting to me because I actually had a conversation with an eBay rep in the Vero department a few weeks prior to this happening, or a couple weeks prior to this happening. It was less than 2 weeks, I believe, maybe almost 2 weeks though. And basically, when I talked to them, they said that I wasn't close to actually being suspended indefinitely for Vero issues. And the first person I talked to when I got on the phone with, they said, yeah, it was not close, just to clarify. The first person that I talked on the phone with on Thursday basically told me that the counterfeit claims were the reason that eBay decided to end their partnership with me, and that they no longer wanted to do business with me. I couldn't open up any more accounts, anything like that. It was just, they're just cutting ties with me in terms of the partnership. Again, at that point, I took that for what that was, talked to a few more people, decided to call in the next day. And basically what the next person told me was that my cancellation rate was too high. I do roughly 5,000 to 6,000 orders a month, depending on the month. Ever since April, I mean, I sometimes did more than that before, but what he ended up saying is that I had 30 cancellations on one of my main accounts, 30 cancellations for the month of December, I believe, on my main account. And he was saying that if I had 30 on the other main account that had 10,000 listings, then basically that's 60 customers that eBay's lost because of me canceling orders on them for out of stock. And because I cannot guarantee the inventory, they no longer wanted to have a partnership with me. And basically I asked them, if I come back and I show that I've changed my business model completely, if I've done, if I've gone and I've gotten the wholesale suppliers and all of that, will you guys let me sell on the platform again? The eBay merchant support rep told me that because of the way my accounts were now, I no longer would ever more than likely have access to those specific accounts. But if I did try to change my business model and, guarantee inventory, have deals with wholesalers, own products myself, that eventually in the future, eBay may consider a partnership with me again. And he was telling me that even if it's 2 to 3 weeks from now, call in and see if they'll start the unsuspension process of me as a user. Again, those accounts that I had were likely never to be, I would likely never have them again. One of the accounts had over 20,000 feedback. The other main account had over 10,000 feedback. And then my manual store at the time had 41 or 42 feedback. These accounts, like I said before, these are things that I've worked on for the past 2 years now, building these up. And, I quit my job on the premise that I would be able to do drop shipping for the foreseeable future. One of the biggest realizations now that I've come to is I can't use those accounts on eBay anymore. And luckily for me, I have connections, I have friends, I have family who are willing to let me use their eBay accounts. And I have the option of a stealth account available to me right now that I can use as well. So this isn't the end of eBay for me. And just to be clear, I'm not going to be breaking any or doing anything illegal by selling on eBay. These are completely different accounts. They're not going to be linked to me at all. And I'm not accepting the fact that it's over for me on eBay. So eBay can try all they want to shut me down, but I'm still going to be involved in dropshipping, whether it's helping people or whether it's running my own accounts under different LLCs, things of that nature. So that's where I stand today. I am currently banned on eBay from my 3 accounts that I was doing. And it appears that my manual store was the original cause of everything. And just to be clear, that manual store, and again, the reason I say that is because it was the first one based on the timing. The manual store was not flagged by eBay in any way for dropshipping. The only thing that I think, in my opinion, and I said I wasn't gonna, there's other people who are gonna be speaking on this as well. And I said I wanted to keep everything fact, but since I told the story, now I'll kind of get into my opinion, and then we will hear the opinion of others when it comes to this. So my opinion on everything is that eBay wants control of dropshippers. They don't necessarily want to ban the dropshippers that they can control. If they can control your sales, if they can control your rank, if they, can have you under their thumb, and that, you're using software, they're fine with it. The only other person that received this letter that I received that I know of, and if I'm wrong, you can correct me and you can contact me and let me know your story as well. But the only other person that received this particular letter was doing dropshipping with software, and they were doing dropshipping with a manual store. Something triggered eBay to look into our manual stores, and I've spoken to this person. Something like a case or something like that triggered eBay to look into our manual stores and then realize, oh wait, this person has dropshipping stores as well. And from there, in my opinion, they decided that they didn't want to play that game with us anymore. And they decided that they would rather have us off the platform than continue to allow us to open unflagged stores. So at this point, I would like to go ahead and bring some of the guests on that I have. And the first one I want to bring on, because he's such a prominent figure in the eBay dropshipping community, is Paul J. Lipsky. Paul, thank you for being on tonight, and I would love to hear your thoughts, your opinions on anything that I just spoke about.
Well, thanks, Tyler, for having me on. I'm always here to support you. And first, I want to say, I've told you this privately before, but I'm just really sorry that you're going through this. It really stinks. And I see in the chat a lot of people, they just feel bad that it's happening to you, of all people, because you've been able to help so many people and you really don't deserve it. So I'm sorry this has happened to you, but I agree with you with a lot of what you're speculating, because I don't think it's speculation. I think it's pretty obvious that eBay is in some way trying to control us. Because what we do know is that eBay's allowing us to do drop shipping. They know who the drop shippers are. They know that I drop ship, that my students drop ship. I've spoken to owners of software like AutoDS. I was speaking to them today. They say they have 7,000 stores connected just to them, and that's just one software. And eBay, they have to know that we're doing this, but they aren't banning all of us. They're not banning most of us. you and this other guy are the only people that I've heard of this happening for that specific reason. And you in particular, I know that you know how to sell on eBay. So it isn't the issue of drop shipping itself. Like, it's pretty clear that eBay is allowing that. And they're also allowing us to make a large volume of sales. So I don't think it's just that you were doing well on eBay, because a lot of people are doing well on eBay also. So I think the issue here is what you did differently. And I think you kind of nailed it, that you were trying to fly under the radar and kind of bypass the systems that they put in place to identify the drop shippers. Because it's clear they're letting us do it. They just want control over it. They would prefer if non-drop shippers get the sales, so that it's more of a guarantee that the customer will get the product, whether that's right or wrong. I think that's what they believe. And so that's why they want to control us. And when they see that you are bypassing that, I think they really didn't like that. And I agree with you that that's part of the problem right there. You know, eBay's creating a new game. The game changes all the time on eBay, it changes on Amazon. And we've gone through this before with changes. But what we found is that as long as you play the game, it works. Unfortunately, eBay right now isn't really clearly defining what the rules are with this game, which I think is a huge mistake on their part, because how are you supposed to know what to do if they're not telling you? I think it's becoming clear now, because you did it and you got in trouble for it, that that's something that we don't want to do moving forward. It just really stinks that it had to happen to you before we figured it out.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm happy to be, I guess I'm happy and unhappy to be a guinea pig, because I was one of the people telling people a manual store is the way to fly under the radar, which I was correct on. But at the same time, eventually, you know, if you call in and they look into your account or anything like that, could be over for you. So that's kind of, yeah.
Yeah, because, you know, I've spoken to like all my students in my group. I spoke to the guys at AutoDS. Like I said, they know that they have 7,000 drop shippers or 7,000 stores connected. And between both of us and everyone else I've spoken to, we don't know anyone else who got banned for this reason. So that's why I really think that eBay is allowing drop shipping, but obviously you got to do it right. No, I kind of had this conspiracy theory. I don't know what you think of this. Maybe we'll talk about it later, because it's kind of out there. And I don't think it's the case, but
okay.
We'll talk about it later.
We'll talk about it later and see if it's something worthy to get on here. Jack, I want to, Jack is somebody who actually came out and said that his eBay account was banned for other reasons before, but, you know, you're somebody that, like, you know, life after eBay. So that's kind of why I wanted your perspective of everything and kind of what you think about what's going on with eBay right now.
All right. So yeah, but for reference, guys, I was banned on eBay like late last year, and it was very obvious I was going to get banned. Probably to most of the people in this call, the way that I was dropshipping was very, very risky. So I don't think that I'm an accurate case of dropshippers getting banned because of people who dropship. I was quite likely to get banned in that sense. But there is one thing regarding manual stores that I want to, at least from my perspective, bring to you guys' attention. I would be very hesitant to assume that your manual store was what caused the flag. And let me explain what happened when my store got banned. When I got banned, I had about 70,000 items posted, right? And the way that this works, eBay initiates the ban, and then their system has to send you a message of every single listing that was removed. And in my case, this message took about 36 hours to be received after the ban. So if you think about store size as the determining variable, that would be what shows what store gets banned first. So from that perspective, I'm assuming your manual store was the smallest store, and I wouldn't say that it's accurate to assume that the manual store itself was what caused the flag. In general, it's important to understand that eBay is a huge Goliath of a company. It is not an entity that you can communicate to. They have thousands of different employees in different places with different opinions who will treat the same thing different ways. And there's a lot of miscommunication within eBay as well. And it's really important to just keep this in mind, because when a lot of people talk about eBay, they talk about it like it's something that you could call eBay and be like, hey, this is what I'm doing, and I just want to tell you so that I don't get in trouble later. The reality is you can't try and predict things and communicate with eBay. eBay makes decisions, and then you can try and appeal them, or you can work with people who are a bit shisty, because eBay's a really big company. So what a lot of international people will do is they'll pay a rep, a dirty rep, so to speak, to fix problems. And this is absolutely something that does happen on eBay, given the sheer size of eBay as a company. It isn't able to effectively police itself, right? And there's one more note I wanted to make, but I forgot what it was.
I can confirm that you are correct about there being dirty reps on eBay, because I do know people that use those reps. But I wanted to just, Anthony is here. Anthony is my business partner in my eBay dropshipping course. And I just kind of wanted to get his perspective on what he thinks is going on, because right now the course is still up. And again, I do not have any plans on stopping selling on eBay, but at the same time, I want to see kind of from his point of view what he thinks of everything and what we should do kind of going forward.
Yeah, so a crazy thing actually that happened to me, which is kind of like, I see it as like almost like a precursor to what's happening to you now, is back in September, I realized that, I think a lot of people have realized this now, but that the smaller accounts, the newer accounts, were starting out unflagged. You could make a lot of money by keeping an account under the radar, and eBay wasn't getting around to flagging those small accounts fast enough. So I started creating a lot of accounts and trying to keep them like under 1,000 items. And what happened to me in September was I actually ended up having all of my stores closed except for my biggest one, just in one afternoon. So I actually kind of went through an experience kind of similar to this, Tyler, back in September, and I know we talked about it when it happened. So in some sense, I understand kind of what you're going through, maybe not to the same extent of having all my stores closed, but it did kind of force me into this, stealth type of mindset where I had to think about like different ways to keep the business going. I didn't want to just stick with one big account and go up really high, because I had seen what happened to people with massive amounts of listings. So in that sense, I do feel like I have a little bit of personal experience with the pain, and I definitely empathize with what you're going through now, because I know it's difficult, and I really had to scramble for a couple weeks or months to try to get everything back up and running again. I thought Paul did a really good job of kind of giving his theory, and it tends to be what I know Jack disagreed, but it tends to be what I am also leaning towards being the case, in the fact that when Tyler, when you first told me this had happened last week, I thought, okay, let's see what happens over the next 7 days or so. And if more people start getting emails like this and it becomes some type of widespread, eBay's cracking down, they're closing everyone down, then I would have a lot more qualms with going forward, promoting eBay as a viable, income option for students, et cetera. And what I started seeing is that it's only you and this other guy who both got flagged, or both got their accounts restricted or suspended, and you both had the common, variable that you'd started the manual store. So I'm kind of in this mindset of where until we, in the time being, it's not like everyone's getting their account shut down. And if that's still the case, I'm going forward and kind of considering this still a decent option to make money, online. And I think if it gets to the point where we start seeing accounts get, dropping like flies, then I would definitely have maybe a moral problem with continuing to promote the course, or, continuing to be positively motivating people that are in the mentorship group with this. So
that's exactly how I feel about it. That's the reason that I'm actually continuing to sell on eBay, is because I don't think it's over. I think, from my perspective of what, and obviously Paul, in your perspective, I just think that as long as eBay feels they have control over you, you're good. If you start to try to do things that eBay can't control, that's at that point they may have an issue with you on their platform. I want to go ahead and I want to switch it up, and I want to talk to somebody from the UK who has a small YouTube channel, and he's growing his channel, but he's very active in the Sale Freaks chats, the WhatsApp group, and yeah, I want to introduce him. His name's Andrew. He actually, you guys might know him from the No BS dropshipping channel when he stayed with Mark in Nicaragua. But Andrew, could you maybe tell us if you've heard anything like this going on in the UK, or just give us your opinion of what the overall UK market looks like right now?
Yeah, so this whole restriction thing, so the last day, so yeah, as you said, I'm very active on quite a few Facebook groups. And that particular message has popped up a lot. And I saw it maybe once yesterday, maybe once 2 days before. But today it seems like it's, you know, quite a lot of people are getting hit with it, which sucks. It really sucks because, you know, everyone putting in so much work and dedication in it. It really sucks. It really does. Like without warning, kind of. For now, at the moment, I haven't heard of anyone in the UK being hit by this. The ones that I've heard about, it seems more US. But yeah, you know, and as to why it happens, why it's happening, I could only guess. You know, I really, you know, have no idea. Like the throttling thing a couple months ago in October, I had my main account got throttled, then my backup account got throttled too, and I was doing this full time, and I had bills to pay, so I was like really, really heavily researching this. With a friend as well, we spoke about this, did a lot of research and opened up 2 new accounts, or 2 more accounts were given to me, built them up, 1 got throttled as well. So I was noticing the patterns and that kind of thing, but yeah.
In terms of actual sales in the UK, I mean, just how are the sales? Are you able to maintain profitability with the throttled accounts? Maybe just touch on that just a little bit.
Yeah, so with the throttled accounts, so my main one back in October, so I had built that up over 4 months. That was going really well. And then pretty much overnight, the sales were literally 5% of what they were. Literally 5%, and stayed like that. Listed more, stayed like that. And in terms of the throttling, you know, not to name names, but a particular software that's quite common in the UK seems to be throttling people. It has the API issue. Sale Freaks, I use Sale Freaks. That one, it's got a completely different strategy, which seems okay. You know, you were throttled. You're doing well. You were doing well for sure. Nathaniel as well, who's been teaching me, he's doing well still. Because it's bulk, but a tactical version of bulk. But sales in the UK, I think they seem great. You know, I started in May. Before that, I was hearing all these things like, dropshipping works in the US, doesn't work in the UK. I was thinking, well, the people saying that, they're not making money. I'm going to listen to the ones who make money. The ones who are making money say it works. Cool. I'm going to have that mentality. It works. Went hard. It worked for sure. So I think it's great. It seems great, you know. I can go for my.
As I mentioned in the group before we started, it just seems like UK just keeps getting better and better since Christmas now, and you guys all appear to be crushing it, and not having any insertion fees or anything like that for your anchor stores is really quite, yeah, it's quite the gift from eBay. But so I've also brought two other dropshippers on here. One of them is more involved in Amazon now, but I know she still dropships on eBay. But I was trying to have as many members of the community on here that I could round up as possible. So Amanda, are you still on? All right, there she is. All right, so Amanda, what's maybe just if I could hear your opinion on it. Again, like I said, I was just trying to get as many members in here as possible who I respect their opinion, and they could just talk a little bit about it.
Well, I'm really grateful that you're talking about it, and like honestly, I'm scared. And I don't even know what I should be doing right now. Like my eBay store, I kind of left it not doing much. I mean, like 3 or 4 sales a week. So I actually went today and removed everything until the dust settles and I see what's going to happen here. So I really appreciate you coming out and talking about this, because I know it's hard to do. But I want to put like a positive spin on it. You know, like once we get through this, maybe we have to find a different strategy. Maybe we have to get real wholesale suppliers. Whatever it is that we need to do, we'll figure it out. There's so many options, you know, when it comes to e-commerce. So.
I agree. There are a lot of options. And I've heard some people call dropshipping a shortcut. And I somewhat agree with that it is a shortcut, but I also believe it is a real business that takes skill. So at the same time, we've been making money using this. I mean, I would say it's an easy method. I know that's hard to say for everybody because there are people who struggle to make money in it. But for me, this has been a very easy method, and I've just been very complacent with, you know, just doing the retail dropshipping. So this does kind of light a fire under me, so to speak, to actually, you know, do something different, as you mentioned just now, Amanda.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I guess you said you delisted everything.
I did, and I don't know if that was the right decision or not, but I just feel like I'm not making anything of it right now, so I had nothing to lose by just wiping the slate, you know? Well, except for maybe the prior sales history and stuff like that. I thought about that briefly, but you can build that, you know?
I don't think right now with the way that eBay's algorithm is, I don't think sales history is as important as it used to be per se. Like in terms of like if you open up a new store, that store is going to do better anyway than your old store, and you can just gain traction that way. But yeah, no, I appreciate you coming on here, Amanda. But Ty's been eagerly awaiting his turn as usual.
Poor
Ty. All right, Ty, let's let's hear your opinion on it, and yeah, appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me on, Tyler. I really appreciate it. And one note here, I wanna ask if you can bring Noah on, because he wants to get on too. So if you can get back to him, because we want to have his thoughts too, because he does wholesale dropshipping.
Yeah, I'll send.
Yeah, let me continue what I was wanting to say. So my opinion is, like, I don't think it's as easy as before, for sure. I think eBay is definitely making it a lot harder for new sellers and, you know, even experienced sellers to sell, because, you know, when I started a while ago, it's like when I started a while ago, you know, it was pretty easy. You can literally just copy and paste and make sales, right? Like, you really didn't have to do much. Like, just copy and paste and it'll work. And so I think eBay is moving towards the trend where they're making it extremely harder for new sellers, because they want to protect their buyers too, right? Because they're pretty much trying to be like Amazon at this point, based on all the trends that we have been seeing. I mean, they're trying to get the buy box. And in fact, they also updated their policy. I'm not sure if you guys have seen it or not. In the new dropshipping policy, it's literally the same thing as Amazon now. It's literally written in the same wording as Amazon policy, where they do not allow you to dropship on their platform. So, you know, it's like that, but they're still dropshippers. So it's always viable, in my opinion, and I don't think it's ever gonna, you know, go away. I don't think. Maybe the basic way, which is retail dropshipping, may go away, but like wholesale dropshipping, private label dropshipping, which I am looking into and learning, will still be there. So yeah,
it is interesting to me that I did notice a change in eBay's dropshipping policy. I mean, I looked today, and what's funny is I did a video about item location policy, and even that's been updated. So it does appear that eBay is really doing something weird, and it's almost not fair that they can change their policies overnight and ban somebody for what they say is, you know, retail dropshipping, when they didn't even give me a chance to change my business model. They just kind of said, we know you're sourcing from third parties and we don't want to partner with you anymore, which is, again, why it almost seems more likely that it was something else and they don't want to say it, rather than, you know, the actual retail dropshipping itself, kind of like Paul alluded to.
Yeah, can I actually jump in for a second? because I see. Is that cool, Tyler?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Yeah, so I see a lot of people in the chat talking about something else that happened today, and I think people might be confusing the two issues. So a lot of people today got an email that said that they're getting their top-rated status taken away because they are drop shipping. And the interesting thing is that people got this who aren't drop shippers, people got this who are drop shippers. One of my students got it on one account that she hasn't used for 3 months, and it's actually was an account that was shut down. And yet she's still getting it and didn't get it on the main account. So I think a lot of people are confusing that with what happened to you, which they're related in some ways, but they're not the same thing. It's not like everyone who got this email was shut down. They just got their top rated seller taken away, and some of these people didn't even have it. You know, as dropshippers, it's always been hard to get top rated seller anyway. So like it was something that some of us were able to get more recently because of new software that was available that made it so that eBay would accept Amazon's tracking numbers. But one theory is, again, this is eBay trying to control what's happening. And they don't like that we kind of got around this problem and were able to get top rated seller. So they just took it away for the drop shippers. So that's kind of along the same lines of what happened to you. But again, if these people got these emails, people who are actually drop shipping, then it's further proof that eBay knows who we are. And if they were truly banning drop shipping of this kind, they wouldn't have sent out that email. They would have just shut down all the accounts, but they haven't, which tells me that they are still allowing it as long as you are playing by their rules and providing good customer service.
Again, I'm one person, and as I mentioned at the beginning of this live, I've paid eBay over $240,000 in 2 years of dropshipping. That kind of revenue, you know, a normal seller doesn't give them. And yes, they probably think another seller is probably just going to come in and replace me, and you know they're not going to lose any demand for their items, and there's plenty of supply out there provided by other dropshippers. So they definitely need dropshippers, but it's just a matter of, I guess, maybe they don't want it to grow beyond what it is right now, and is kind of my thoughts about it. What do you think about that?
Tyler, do you think that this was kind of my crazy conspiracy theory, but people in the chat actually mentioned this as well. Do you think that eBay saw some of your videos and specifically targeted you? Did you consider that?
I've had that thought in my head a lot. And if it was just me that got this email and I actually spoke with this other person who got this email, and I was trying to, you know, ask, what's your last name? Like, have you been to Charlotte? Like, just random stuff, you know, just to try to figure out if there was any way that this person was connected to me. Because to be honest, I've had multiple people tell me that it's likely that they saw your videos. eBay does monitor people on YouTube, and it's a crazy conspiracy, but is it so crazy? I don't think so. I think, you know, there's only so many people in the community that are talking about eBay dropshipping. It's a very small niche, and I'm sure they monitor your channel. I'm sure they monitor Mark's. I'm sure they monitor, you know, other dropshippers' channels as well to see what kind of things dropshippers are doing out there and teaching. And I'm not sure that it would be too hard to figure out what my accounts were. I think it would be very easy for them to figure that out if they wanted to. And to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if there was somebody from the inside of eBay in a chat on a WhatsApp or whatever that I'm in, you know, or maybe even my mentorship group. I mean, as crazy as that sounds, why wouldn't they want an inside person in there hearing what dropshippers are doing to counter what they're doing, you know?
Yeah.
I don't think it's that crazy. But I would love to hear the opinion of other people and kind of see what they think on the whole thing. If more people start getting this email, then it wouldn't be as plausible of a case. But
I'm happy to chime in real quick.
Go ahead.
So I feel like I usually play the devil's advocate, but in this case, I would really encourage you to give it more time before you assume that eBay's representatives are actually taking the time to do thorough research about dropshipping. Talking with eBay reps in general, it's very obvious that they're not very educated about the ways that people dropship. That's pretty standard. There's a lot of assumptions about dropshippers, and that's kind of rampant in eBay as a community. And for us, we dispense dropshipping information. It's very easy for us to get used to dropshipping, whereas for most of the world, they have no idea what dropshipping is. And that's still a reality, right? And then there's 2 points I want to make just in case some people in our audience are a little bit confused. Because one is that all of the accounts we're talking about so far are instances of linked accounts. It's been, at least to my understanding, common knowledge that if you want true stability on eBay, you have to have multiple unlinked accounts in different identities with nothing in common, including the PayPal account. That's my understanding, that otherwise, anytime something goes wrong with one account, you do risk it rippling to all of your accounts. So my perception is the only way to actually have true stability is to have unlinked accounts, right? And then
I totally agree with that now that this has happened, and I've talked to people who are doing unlinked accounts, and what you're saying is, they're what they preach.
And then there was one other distinction, but I've lost track. I said my two. I can never remember the third distinction.
Sorry, man. Having too much fun in Nicaragua. One thing that I will say that's interesting, and you guys, whoever wants to chime in, just, I guess, raise your hand and you unmute yourself or whatever. But one thing that's interesting to me about the way that eBay is operating is I always did things as ethically as possible on eBay. I never really took any shortcuts. I never asked for refunds from Amazon when, and the item wasn't delivered or, things like that. Like, I just always did everything very by the book. And I always made sure that my customer service team was helping customers the way that I would want, the way that I started when I first started, and I cared about customer service and all of that. There's some things that obviously I don't put up with customers, but in my opinion, they're losing a dropshipper. And again, this is just my opinion because it's easy for me to say. They're losing a dropshipper who did a really good job taking care of his customers and making sure the customers were as happy as they could be, even though they were getting a dropship product. And there was a lot of times where I lost money on a transaction and fulfilled the order, or, gave a partial refund when Amazon wouldn't, took losses when Amazon wouldn't accept a return. And, I just always felt like I did everything completely legit. And my feedback was over 99% on both my stores, and 100% on my manual store. And they're losing a seller that was doing a few hundred transactions a day and giving those few hundred transactions to new sellers who are opening up accounts and unflagged, and they may not be handling customer service. And I'm just making an assumption here, but you have to assume that a new seller, they're making mistakes on eBay's platform more than an experienced seller. So you're taking away one seller and you're giving his sales to 10 sellers who are unflagged and, brand new to the platform. And we've seen it over and over again with the unflagged accounts. The profit margins are much higher, meaning that customers are being charged more money with these purchases rather than somebody like me who is pricing in the low single digits or break even on some transactions and giving the customer the best, price possible on eBay when they're going to eBay instead of Amazon. And now at this point, they're going to be finding these items at a higher price on eBay, in my opinion. So what are y'all's thoughts on that? I guess, Anthony, you've been shaking your head a lot. What do you think about what I'm saying in that regard?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I think, for me at least, it's been pretty obvious since they decided to start flagging accounts, is that there's always repercussions for an action. And part of what they wanted to do was they maybe wanted to make dropshipping a less lucrative less lucrative industry in order to give a better opportunity for people that are selling those products when they already have them in stock. But the problem is that the repercussion of what they've done by flagging accounts has led to people being able to start a brand new account and just have a massive amount of sales. I experimented with a stealth account in December where I took some of my best sellers from my main account, put it on the stealth account, and put the margins at 18%. And I was selling those items several times on the stealth account instead of on the main account. So what I think the problem with that is that, one, like you just said, the margins are higher for the customer. That does not benefit the customer better. Two, when a new seller comes onto the platform, maybe that isn't doing a stealth account or a new account, they're just trying out drop shipping. They're gonna go in their first month, and if they list 500 items, they might get 30 sales a day. They're not prepared to handle that kind of volume. Part of the thing that was great about eBay when we first started was that you would start out, you'd have to build your store up a little bit. You get better feedback, you'd start getting more sales. They kind of would, slowly get you into the mode of figuring out how to do drop shipping. And you'd start out with 1 or 2 sales every other day or something. You'd figure out how to fulfill those sales. You'd figure out how to deal with the customer. You'd get 1 return maybe 2 weeks in or something, and then you'd spend time figuring out how to deal with the return. But now it's like if you start a new account and you just list 400 items pretty quickly, you're going to get like 30 sales in a day because your account's not flagged and you're getting all the sales that the bigger accounts were getting in the past. So I think that's eBay. The thing that's frustrating about eBay's policy is that they're not thinking about the full repercussions of what they're doing. And what's ending up happening, I think, is that the platform's getting worse because you're putting all the sales into inexperienced hands.
Agreed. Does anyone else want to talk about this?
Tyler, I have a question for you. Somebody asked this in the chat.
Yeah, go ahead.
So somebody was asking about that case that you had opened. Tony was asking about it. So with that case, so it was a return case, right?
Correct.
And what happened? Where did they ship it to?
They shipped it using their own tracking number to somewhere in New York. I believe it was a Walmart fulfillment center. And they sent, when they called in, this is how the eBay rep explained it to me. When they called into eBay, they provided the image of the receipt that they purchased the tracking from instead of, using my label. And when I contacted Walmart, they had not received the item and had, no way to track it. So
where did the buyer get that address from?
I believe the shipping label that I provided them it's very weird to me. It's all very strange.
That's a very weird situation.
And that's why I was trying to argue with the eBay rep at the time, why did this item go to New York? Why did they not use this label? Why is there, it seemed very weird to me where a year ago, eBay would have just said, you're right, they didn't use the label, you win. Now they're saying, oh, you're confusing the buyer by providing, this is your return address on your account and this is the return address on the label. I think that's kind of what eBay's item misrepresentation, location misrepresentation is all about.
Yeah, plus eBay also technically wants us to be using their labels because they make more money when we do. And we as drop shippers get around that by using our own. So maybe once you kind of brought attention to that on your account, that's when it kind of raised the flag with them.
It was a very odd case, and I don't see many that are like that other than when the buyers don't open a case at all or they ship the item back from the return. That's probably where they got the address from, is from the actual box itself, right? Because what actually happens to me a good amount of time on Amazon, and again, these are cases that would be closed out in my favor right away a year ago or even 6 months ago. But now if the buyer ships the item back to the Amazon warehouse in Kentucky or wherever, the item originally came from, eBay's going to rule in their favor and say, hey, look, like this is where the item came from. This is where they shipped it to. And it's all just very weird to me that they're doing this now. So they could have gotten the address from the actual box itself and decided to take it upon themselves to ship to that address that was on the box and then maybe open up the case or just whatever.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious because somebody in the chat was asking about it. But
No, it's a good question for sure, and it's, again, like I said, it's part of the item. It seems like it's almost part of the item misrepresentation or location misrepresentation policy that eBay has now, where buyers are getting confused on where to ship the item back to, and it's creating a negative experience. But is there anyone else that wants to touch on anything else?
I was just going to talk about one of the things that I think is really frustrating, and it kind of goes with what you're just saying, is that eBay needs to be more transparent, in my opinion, on what they want to, how they want to change the platform. The last time I called eBay and actually talked about one of my accounts, which was a few months ago, I talked to the rep and said, "Oh yeah, I'm drop shipping. Here are my sources, blah blah blah." The rep's fine with it, right? So, and I definitely don't take what the rep says as verbatim. But in the meantime, we should have gotten messages or had some kind of bulletin saying, "Hey, look, we're going to be changing these types of policies with drop shipping going forward." Or, for example, with the case that you had closed out, in the past, that was always acceptable for the case to be closed for that reason. And now that they're doing it differently, it just seems to me that it would make people a lot more, I guess, it would maybe not make us happy, but it would definitely make us feel like they're not morally screwing us over by the fact that they're not really giving us any data to tell us how things are going to change. And I think it's difficult when a lot of people rely on, providing for their families under this business to not really give, some kind of warning or saying look, here's how in the past we were openly accepting of drop shippers. Now that's going to change. I guess maybe I've missed something, but I don't think there's ever been any announcement from eBay actually saying that. It's the same thing with the flagged accounts. On April 20th, everyone's talking about accounts getting flagged, but eBay would never acknowledge it or publicly make a statement about that.
No, and now, as Ty said in their new policy, they actually stated that if you are sourcing from retailers, they actually said that they can restrict or even have your items not show up in the search ranking at all. So they have options now in their terms of service on their most recent update that allow them to do whatever they want to do to your account, basically, and you pretty much have no control over it. So that's something that's very, very weird to me. Andrew, I guess now just to get the UK opinion real quick on this. Is this, is this how everything works in the UK as well? Kind of what we're talking about with returns and just everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they just send out the home address. I've got to get my VA to basically catch it before giving them the whatever the supplier is. I had a couple of things set up in my house today, but she's working on it.
So you still get items delivered to your house, is what you're saying?
Yeah, it's kind of strange because, say a return case is opened, sometimes eBay will send the return label immediately. Other times they won't. It will take to be 3 days later, kind of thing. It's kind of strange. So months ago, when I was first told, I first noticed my throttling, I was told it's because of the item location policy. The eBay rep said that it's because if buyers are thinking the item is here and it's coming from somewhere else, the delivery time is more likely to be wrong, so they're more likely to be waiting for longer. So that makes sense in the US, but in the UK, that doesn't make sense. It's always a day. It's so easy. And from my experience, and it sounds like it might have been the case with you when you spoke to an eBay rep. One of them said it was because of the canceling, too many canceled items. From my experience, when I've been really digging hard about the throttling, really, quite a few phone calls. Last one was an hour and 40 minutes. Took a long time to get nowhere, really. My God, that's another story. But just really digging deep, trying to find out why, and they kind of just seem to pin on everything. Oh, look at the account. Oh, first time I had a big chat, it was oh, I think it's because of must be your late deliveries. And I'm but look at my metrics, they're excellent. I'm top rated seller for everything except late deliveries, which is 0.17% away from top rated seller. Less than 1/5% away. So how could you blame me on that? And they're okay, then kind of keep looking, or put me on hold. I'm getting fucking annoyed about this. I'm reliving it. Just
yeah. What's interesting about me is my metrics were almost as perfect as they could be for a dropshipper, other than my We just had someone else join us, but yeah, they were as perfect as they could be for a dropshipper, which is the craziest thing. But all right, so so now we have one more person in here, and before we speak to Noah, I want to make sure that everyone knows who everyone is, because I feel like this is probably going to be the last person we talk to, and then I'm going to give my 2 cents and then end the conversation. But guys, this is Andrew Croft. He is a eBay UK seller. He has a channel. No, don't worry about saying your channel. I'll put it in the description. But guys, check out the description for everybody's channel who is in this. Anthony, this is my business partner, and he also is a dropshipper in the US, and he lives in a different country in South America, but he dropships on eBay US. And Amanda, thank you for joining us. This is Amanda Kaufman. She has a course on Amazon called Dropship Shenanigans. I'll put a link to her channel in there. And Jack Pittman from Nicaragua. Well, he's from the US, but in Nicaragua. I will, again, put a link to his channel, but most of you guys should know him. And Paul J. Lipsky, the man, the myth, the legend. I'm surprised I can keep getting him on the channel, especially when I, have a candle in my live. So thanks for joining us, Paul. And Ty Nguyen, also very active in the community lately. Thank you for joining us, Ty, and thanks for us getting your opinion on everything. So now I want to transition. We had somebody join us. I guess he snuck in here with a link that somebody gave him. I'm guessing it was Ty. But we have Noah Mincis, and he is a wholesale dropshipper. And Noah, maybe you can tell us a little bit. Did you get this email? Have you ever had any issues with eBay doing your wholesale dropshipping?
First off, I just want to say that this is entirely Ty's fault and not mine. He invited me in. So I have not gotten any email from that. I have spoken to eBay reps several times. So right now I have an Anchor store. And with an Anchor store, I'm sure that you know that you get what they call your personal team of representatives that you can therefore call, talk to. So as a wholesale dropshipper, I do have a lot of defecting on my uploading my traffic, numbers, because a lot of my suppliers just don't get the items out on time. That I deal with higher cost items, and they're heavy items, so it's hard to get them out in a quick amount of time. So I do run into some problems with eBay. But the thing is that I can always supply an invoice. I can always supply, a document, showing that I do work with wholesalers, that I do work with manufacturers. So, I mean, I do get I do get emails or I do get calls from them, but I can always go ahead and I can always basically just provide the documentation. So like Ty said, that they now are adding the stipulation that Amazon has also put into their policy, where they don't want drop shipping from retail stores, but drop shipping from third-party fulfillment is not really something that's new. Because if you think about it, if you're a large retail business, or if you're a medium-sized business, let's say, and you're doing $2 million a year, if you're trying to sell from different locations, you're going to have warehouses. So they always have to have that stipulation inside of the terms of service, because that a lot of businesses rely on multiple warehouses throughout the country.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And I'm sure it's something now that more and more people are going to want to look into, including myself, the wholesale dropshipping. So go check out Noah's channel if you want to learn more about that. Noah, I appreciate you coming in and just giving your opinion last minute here. We are coming up on the hour, though, so I didn't mean to cut you off, but okay. I'm glad you were able to get in here and talk about that a little bit. But yeah, guys, just wanted to say, again, none of this was clickbait. I really am banned from eBay for those of you guys that joined late. I'm grateful to have built my network and my community around people just like this that I had on, my channel. And it makes the blows, a little bit softer in terms of I'm going to bounce back. And I know I will. I have my Amazon business. I have this community. I'm going to keep selling on eBay. I know plenty of people that, as Jack talked about, have, unlinked accounts and different LLCs that are perfectly legal, but they're not going to be traced back to you in any way. So that's something I'm going to be exploring as well. But I appreciate everybody that joined on this live, and I appreciate all the support that you guys have shown throughout this live as I've been reading the chat. I know that some people will use this whole thing as a way to try to sell you some inner circle or try to sell you a way where you're not going to be banned on eBay or anything like that. But one thing that I've learned in this business is there's no guarantees. And I'll just say that I don't have any regrets on anything. I mean, I learned a lot from doing my manual store. I learned that the API, is what causes flagging, not item location, not anything like that. But I also learned that, you have to play by eBay's rules, and they might have viewed what I did as not playing by their rules. Others have other opinions on that. But again, thank you everybody who joined for this live, and I'm not done making videos. I'm not. So I hope you guys will stick around and keep watching my videos and, keep supporting me, and I'll keep helping in any way I can. So thanks for watching, guys.
Tyler, I want to say real quick that I think it is awesome how many I've never seen a YouTube poll like this.
I already stopped the broadcast.
Jack, come on, man. He gets the last word. It's his channel.
Tyler.
Man. Trying to swipe in there and get the last word.
I was trying to help him.
Dude, oh my God.
We all have channels. It's so hard for all of us to keep our mouths shut.
Wait.
You just messed up the epic ending.
Tyler, did you see the comment where they said that
Dude,
is your electricity up?
That candle thing, you ruined it, Jack.
That's so dramatic.
Don't worry, you can edit the ending of any YouTube video.
You can actually edit the ending?
Yeah, you can cut stuff out.
But I wouldn't do it. It like messes up the video a lot of times.
Oh, okay. Well,
I wanted to share a screenshot with you guys.
Thank you guys for joining. Sorry, Jack, Jack, what were you going to say anyway?
I was going to say that this is the first time I've ever seen this many of us in one call, and I thought that it was fucking amazing that I understand the circumstances, sad, but to understand community and share this, and this is like really unique and different, and I think that's like amazing. I understand the circumstance sucks, but it's just...
Also, I think you had like almost 300 people.
Yeah, there were so many people like watching it. Like...
I had 302 people. All y'all are going to get a lot of subscribers. Well, Paul and Jack, you already have a lot of subscribers, but everyone else, this should be boosted up there because of that. How did you think of the beginning of the video? Too dramatic?
I loved it. It was great.
Yeah, that was cool.
It was fine.
That's perfect.
It was emotional.
I was sad. I didn't realize I would be sad talking about it, and then I started talking about it, and I was like, fuck, I'm sad.
No.
I gotta go catch dinner, guys.
All right, sorry, man. All right, sorry. Bye, Ty. All right,
Does
everyone.
Sorry, not sorry.
Check out the last comment. I think you confused somebody.
What do you say?
What?
They will be signing out. No, that guy was telling me he was trolling earlier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right, so if everybody wants to just send me their link to their channel in Facebook, so I can just have it under one thing, so I can just copy paste. Yeah, but appreciate all you guys joining.
So Tyler, Tyler, can I just ask one question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So this is mainly for Paul. I've again, I don't really deal with eBay dropshipping, whatever. I've been messaging a lot of people lately. So one of them was a seller in Egypt, another one was a seller in a couple of other foreign countries. So do you think that since there's a lot more foreign sellers now trying to sell in the US market, that this is also a reason for eBay cracking down? And also, since eBay, I know they're changing up their platform a lot. I mean, they're changing up. They're not working with PayPal anymore. They're doing like a bunch of different stuff. Like, I want to what's your take on why this is happening?
I don't think it has anything to do with that, with people from other countries. I've never considered it, but I don't think that's why. I think eBay just feels like they have to change something because they know they're falling behind Amazon. And I think they're trying lots of different things, and for some reason they think that this is part of the problem, which it probably, some sellers are definitely part of the problem, some drop shippers, but I think other regular sellers are also part of the problem. And also part of the problem is that their platform kind of sucks and is old and antiquated, needs a lot of work that they don't want to admit to, and so they're blaming it on us. But I think that's just what it is. They're trying to shake things up because they want to be more like Amazon.
I agree. They're definitely trying to be more like Amazon. Did any of y'all get the email for seller fulfilled by eBay? Did y'all see that?
No, but I heard about it.
No.
Yeah, so one of the guys in the group that I talk to regularly, Joe, actually, the guy that came on my channel, he got an email from eBay saying that they're doing warehouse testing now, and you can send your inventory into eBay and they'll take care of it for you and do all the shipping and everything. So that's very interesting that, you know, they're going that route. Are they doing anything similar in the UK, Andrew?
I haven't heard about that. I haven't heard about it.
They're probably just testing in the US because of Amazon.
Yeah.
Is so big in the, I don't know. It all seems so weird to me. Things are definitely going a lot quicker than I ever thought they would. I knew eBay would not let dropshipping go like the way it was for the past 5 years or whatever, 10 years, but I didn't think it'd be this quick.
So what about the manual stores now? Would you suggest like...
No, I would suggest that if you have a store that's linked at all to software, you do not start a manual store. But if you're just starting eBay right now from scratch, manual store is fine. As long as you never have another store that's linked to software, because then again, eBay will probably think that, in my opinion, I know Jack had a different opinion, but in my opinion, I truly believe that it was something to do with the manual store being linked to. And as Paul said, it's very interesting that, you know, me and one other person got it. And is it too conspiracy theory to say that eBay watches our videos? Personally, I don't think so. I think if I was eBay, I would want somebody watching what people are teaching other people to do. Because essentially, you know, Paul's got an influence of 28,000 people or whatever that watch his videos. He could say something and people would start doing that on eBay tomorrow. So it's like, why would they not watch our channels, in my opinion?
Yeah. There's a girl called Kate Bosco. I don't know if you know her.
Yeah.
You do, yeah. So she's got less than 1,000 subscribers. So she personally knows people in the concierge, and she told me that they watch her videos. So I don't know if it's because, like, kind of just because they know her, or if they're actually, you know, it's hard. I can only, you know, guess why, but that's what she told me at least.
I mean, it's definitely plausible for sure. 100%.
The first time that I fell behind on my eBay bill, I reached out to eBay, right? Or no, this is the second time actually. And so they gave me $7,000 off of my eBay bill and referenced that I was running a YouTube channel. So just for some food for thought, like I was not showing people effective, safe ways to drop ship. So it's kind of interesting because that's a little bit of a contradiction, right? You know?
Yeah.
And they've had drop shippers speak at their conferences too.
Yeah.
That's so weird. I guess that was probably years ago, right? Or is that
it was that long ago? I forget who told me about it. I haven't been to one yet, so.
Yeah, look at Jack's got this up for us right now. Over time, eBay versus Amazon search term. eBay's definitely dying.
eBay's lower than it has ever been historically. Even 15 years ago. Or not 15. Wait, no, 15 years ago.
What day did it start going down? Like, or what year is that? I can't see because of the because
like
of
this
people.
Point?
Yeah, okay.
January, late 2012.
It'll be interesting to see what happens on the next eBay earnings call, but
Yeah.
all right. Well, anyway, guys, if anyone wants to talk more, just hit me up on chat. But I will talk to you guys later, and hopefully we can do this again sometime.
See you guys.
Later, guys.
Bye.
All right, have a good night.
That's one, guys.